Daf Chavav, if a woman miscarries a sandal, that is, one twin crushed the other one, creating a form, a shape that looks like a sandal. That sandal, if it comes out first, and the twin comes out second, the viable twin comes out second, the second twin is not chayiv in opinion of Ben, because the first sandal was the peterechem, it opened the womb, and it created a ptur for bechayra. However, when it comes to nachla, when it comes to inheritance, the second one will receive two portions in the inheritance. If a woman has a cesarean and they take out the viable child, and the sandal came out by natural birth, the sandal is the one that's going to create a chiyuv karban yoledes. However, according to Reb Shimon, that says that even a cesarean requires a karban yoledes. So how do we have a case that a sandal will create a chiyuv karban? Two ways. The sandal and the twin are holding onto each other. They are connected to each other. But the sandal is a little bit higher up than the twin. The twin's head, the viable twin's head, is by the stomach of the sandal. So if they come out head first, the sandal came out first, and therefore it creates a chiyuv karban. If they go out feet first, it's possible in this following situation, where the mother was a goya, and she gave birth to the viable child first. And in between, she became a giyaris, she became Jewish, and then she had the sandal, and the sandal created a chiyuv karban yoledes. Rav Huna says, even if the sandal and the viable child are equal in height, but since the live one creates issues coming out, he holds on, doesn't want to come out first, so the sandal will come out first if they come out feet first. But if they come out head first, then the viable one, even if it comes out just up until, let's say, his forehead, that's considered a birth for a live baby, and therefore he creates a chiyuv b'chayra. When it comes to the sandal, most of his body must be born. The Mishnah says that a shilya, after birth, since all afterbirths have within them a baby, therefore there's tum in the house and the entire house becomes an oil. Reb Shimon says that yes, there was a baby, but it disintegrated and it became batal baroiv. There's more dam than baby, and therefore it doesn't create tumah for the rest of the house. Says the Gemara that this afterbirth starts off on the bottom, the size of a thread of an arev, the shesi of an arev. The arev is always thicker than the shesi. And then as it climbs up, it becomes the size of a turmus, a lupin beam. And it is hollow like a trumpet. And Rosh Hashanah says it's the size of the gizzard of a chicken with some intestines sticking out. But it has to be a minimum of a tefach. Once we mention the tefach, there are four other cases that the Torah discusses, but it's not clear what the shear is. And the Gemara says what are these other four cases, and only four cases. One of them is a shofar. You hold onto a shofar with four fingers, and there's a little bit on each side of the four fingers. Together, that's a tefach. A lulav, and this is a very important halacha that not many know. The adasim and aravas, there must be a tefach of lulav above the adasim and aravas, but not just the tefach of lulav. It must be the spine of the lulav, not the leaves that shake, but rather the hard spine. And then we have sukkah. There's two walls, and the third wall is a tefach. And finally, we have ezoiv. There are three times that the Torah mentions ezoiv. By Metzora, you have to bring in ezoiv. And when you burn the paraduma, you bring ezoiv. And when you sprinkle the mechatos on the tamei from the paraduma, it's also with an ezoiv. It has to be a tefach. Why doesn't the Gemara mention oil hameis? It has to be a tefach by a tefach and a tefach high. Because we're only talking about one tefach and not a tefach by a tefach. Why don't we talk about the handle of an oven made out of stone, which is a tefach, because it could be even less than a tefach. And another reason is because it's a machlokes, and we're not discussing machlokes. If a young girl plays with an oven, once there's a gemar belacha, it's finished and it's a tefach, it's mekabel tuma. Again, there's a machlokes, not discussing. The misgeres of the shulchan was a tefach, but that's mefurish in the Torah. The kapiris, which is not mefurish in the Torah, is also a tefach, but we're not discussing kachim. And finally, by a mavoy, the kaira has to be a tefach, but that's only the rabbanon. We're discussing the iraisis. Says Rav, a major halacha. If a woman miscarries something that would be viable. In other words, if it lived to be 9 months, the pregnancy would last 9 months, it would be a viable baby. Not in a situation, for instance, if the baby has an eye in the center of its head. That's not viable. So if she miscarried something that's viable, and then the afterbirth came out, even if it came out within 3 days, we have to assume that it's part of that birth, the original birth, and it's not a second baby. So therefore, if she gave birth to a zachar, she's tamei only for 7 days. And we're not concerned that perhaps in the afterbirth there was an akeva that she should be tamei even longer. Once 3 days go by, now we must be concerned that this afterbirth contains another baby, second child. And therefore, you have to be machmer as if she's a female and the mother is tamei for 14 days. Another chumrah, and this is a little complicated, we'll say quickly, if the woman gave birth to a girl, she has 80 days, up until day 80, 14 days of tumah, 66 days of tahara, up until day 80. On day 81, if she sees dam, she's a niddah. 8 days later, she sees dam. Niddah only lasts for 7 days. So if she sees dam 8 days later, she becomes a zavak tana. Now, if the second birth was also a girl, and that second birth, let's say, happened 4 days later, so on day 81, when she saw dam, she's not a niddah. She's still in yemei tayar. Therefore, when 8 days later she sees dam again, she's not a zavak tana. She's actually a niddah, and there's a big difference. A zavak tana is only tamei for 1 day, and a niddah is tamei for 7 days. So you have to be machmer like that as well. If she miscarried something that cannot exist, it cannot be miskayim, such as a baby with an eye in the center of its head. According to Rav, we have to be choishesh right away that this afterbirth is from a second child, even if she miscarried the afterbirth immediately. And according to Rebbe, as long as within its min, within its category, humans, animals, behemoths, chayas, they have afterbirth, they are all considered, the shilya would be 3 days, it would be considered part of the first birth. However, if she gave birth to something that resembles a bird, and birds don't have shilyas, immediately we have to be concerned that the shilya contains a second vlad. Have a wonderful day.